Hello, I'm Zach Strassberg-Phillips, and this is a tutorial on how to create topography, three-dimensionalizing topography. So first I start out with this already 3D landscape here with just lines. And so what I want to do is I want to make surfaces on this, both in the Z and in the X and Y plane, so that it will then look more three-dimensional. So the first thing, first before I start to get into the commands here, I just wanted to let you guys know. So I have on this side 5 different layers, and I'm going to use these 5 different layers to try and organize what I'm doing to make it easier for you guys to understand. This 0 here has to deal with the way that I got these topography, and so don't worry about that. So yeah. So as you can see here, there are a couple different steps that we're going to go through. So let's summarize that. First, we're going to select curves, which you'll see, and then once we select all of the curves, we're going to extrude all the curves downwards, and this is going to extrude them downwards into the Z direction. Then, once we have all of those curves extruded, we're going to go and find one corner of this kind of volume box, if you will, if you can think of it like that. And so to do that, we're going to use some simple line work. And then once we have that bottom corner, we're going to create a surface that is going to be just a plane, pretty much, that exactly matches up with the edges of this topography. And then we're going to array that plane in the Z direction so that all of the planes line up with every rung of the topography here. And once we have all of that, we're going to do a command that's not listed on here because you don't need a separate color for it. But we're going to do a giant split command. And I can do this split command on the computer I'm using, but some people may have trouble with it. So I recommend saving a lot along the way just in case something bad happens. And then finally, I'll show you how to drape, which I think it looks really cool, but is an unnecessary step. So let's get to it. First, we have to select curves. So let's just, for now, make sure that we're on select curves. And so we'll go select curve. Oh, sorry. You can also just go like this. Ooh. So once we have all of those, we could have just selected curve too. Then we are going to extrude curve. So we're going to click here, and we're going to go extrude curve. I'm going to select all of these. Okay, and we're going to hit enter. And now if you look up at this this top area right here, it says the distance that we want to extrude by. And so what we want is we want a negative number, so we're going downwards. And here, in general, your topography map should be like one foot steps downward. So you could do 1 foot steps downward, but I want to be safe, so I'm gonna do 5 foot steps downwards just to be cool. And as you can see here, now what I've done is I've made each one of these pop down. Let's go into the ghosted view so we can see this easier. So now each one of these things that was a line is now kind of a wall, if you will. Okay, so now what we have to do is find that base corner. So luckily on the topography that I have here, there is this part right here that's a pretty easy corner. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to not highlight the blue stuff so that it's not as hard to see. And since I'm going to be in the XY plane when I do this, let's be in line work, this next part, like that, I can just go right there. And then what I can do is I can draw a line from here down into front view. I can just draw it down there. And then I can go to a point where I know that this is going to be the lowest point. And I can draw from there, and I have on snaps on, and I put it there, and then I can take this, and this is kind of a example of what we're going to do on mass later, but we're going to use the split command right now. I'll just use that to show you. And we split there, and so what that did is it cut this line with this one, and so we can then delete this, and I believe, yeah, that should be our corner. Yeah, so then we have a corner there on the bottom that is the corner of this kind of big volume that we're uh, putting our topography into. So now we can make a plane that touches that bottom corner. It goes all the way across here. And so for this topography that I have already measured the distance of that square that I have there, and it's 209 feet. Sorry, 902 feet by 990. So I can just go here, and I can use this command here, rectangle 3 points, and I can just say 902. I'm in feet, and then I have to define what direction. So I'll go 902, and then we go down this way. And we know that I already measured it, and it has to be 990. So do that. Enter, and then we can get out of ortho here because just in case we don't need. Yeah. And this line from before we can delete as well. And so now we have this curve on the bottom here. And so now what I can do is I can make that an actual plane by going to the plane thing over here. And I can touch each of the four corners. And I'm basically just making a huge base. Okay. And so now what I want to do is I want to take this base and I want to move it to this layer just to be easy. Okay, and I can actually get out of this layer as well. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to array it up so that we have sort of like stair steps. So I also already measured this, and I know that I have to go up to 80 feet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit array, just a simple array. Oh, wow, really bad attack. Okay, and then in the x direction I want it to be 1. In the y direction I also want it to be 1. In the z direction I want it to be 80. And then the spacing between them, I want it to be 1 because I'm at 1 foot intervals as we discussed earlier. So that's going to create a giant amount of planes here. Oh, I accidentally didn't hit accept. Just go through that again. 80, 1, enter. Awesome. And so it looks like this kind of huge void, but actually there's a ton of planes in here. So this is where you might want to save. I'll save right now just to, yeah, sure, whatever. So then once I have all of these planes here, now that line up with our original line work here, what we're going to do is we're going to take our extrusions from before in the z direction, and we're going to use them to cut the surfaces that we've created. Now, the reason this is going to work is because these blue extrusions on the edge here, they line up exactly with these orange planes that we've made. And so if those don't line up exactly, for example, if the orange planes were a little bit larger, the split wouldn't work because the split wouldn't be going to the edge of the orange. Now, if the blue was wider than the orange, it would work, but we would have lost some information from our topography map. Yeah. Now, what we're going to do is, this is going to be a complicated maneuver. We're going to select everything. Note that we just have the orange surface up. Select all of this. Oops, sorry. We don't just have the surface up. Okay, so we want just the orange planes. Okay, And then what we're going to do is, with that selected, we're going to say the split command from before. Okay. And then we are going to turn that on, and you won't really be able to see it, but that's okay because there's so many planes. But now it's asking us for select cutting objects, and so since that's on, we can select everything, and since the orange planes are already selected, they can't be selected again. So now we're going to select all of those extruded curves, and we're going to hit enter. And now this part right here is what's going to take you a while. Okay, so now that I have uh, fully split all of this, and I did cut the video, so that took a decent amount of time. Now you can see that now what we're going to do is we're going to delete all of the tops of the planes that aren't being used. So luckily, if I go over here and I unselect this, so on my surface, my topography here, uh, you can see that I have if we go into perspective and we zoom down here, I have a low point right here. And so what I'm going to do is going to get under this low point. I'm going to try and look up, okay? And I'm going to then select this, and I'm going to delete all this. Now I have my topography. Um, and so um, you can end it here. You could also select all of it and join it all if you wanted. Um, do note though that underneath all this topography, you still have a grid of all of these verticals and horizontals and stuff. So you could also put some planes on the sides here. There's a lot you could do from here. What I'm going to show you now is how to drape on top of this. So um, we'll select, put ourselves on the drape here. We'll go to top view, um, and while in top view, we're going to hit drape, and it says drag a window over the draped area. So we're going to try and get as close as we can. It doesn't really matter, but close looks nicer to the edge here. Oh, sorry. Before we should look into what spacing is. So spacing is how fine-tuned do you want the grid that's going to drape over this. So for mine, let's see, I'll use 3, and we'll see what that is. But you could do this multiple times and experiment with how it looks. It's basically going to, that's like the definition of how detailed this drape is going to be. So then we say drape, drape, and we click, um, yeah, and then we go to perspective view, and we can just drag this over here, and now you have your whole surface draped, and it's going to create all these cool bumps and stuff that you can then use. You could also keep this drapery on top of this so that you have specific lines that you can interact with later on. You can also potentially make this and create some points on it, and then from there interact with it. But I think this is just a really low effort way, but high computer computational effort way to create some topography real easy from topography lines. So yeah, thanks for watching.